was our 5th date. We were back at her apartment, the tension was thick enough to touch, and she looked at me with that specific look that means do something. So I did what every modern dating coach tells you to do. I stopped. I asked for consent. I said, "Is this okay? Do you want me to keep going?" She said yes, but the spark died. Not because she didn't want me, but because I had asked her to be the director of a scene she wanted me to take over. She wanted me to know. She wanted me to act without asking for a business meeting about every touch. And later, when I asked her why she seemed distant, she couldn't explain it. She just said, "I don't know, I guess I wanted you to just take it." If you've ever felt like women want you to read their minds, like they want you to be dominant but call you toxic when you try, like they want you to just know what they want without them saying it, you're not crazy. There are specific desires, psychologically dirty desires, meaning socially unspeakable that women feel but cannot verbalize without contradicting the image society demands they project. This isn't about physical acts. This is about the psychological triggers that create attraction. And today, I'm going to break down 7 of them, backed by research, so you stop getting the "I don't know what I want" response and start seeing the look that says, "Finally." Before we start, you need to understand the cage she's in. In 2026, women are told to be empowered, independent, communicative, and in control. But her arousal system, her psychological relaxation response, often requires the exact opposite: surrender, being overwhelmed, and not having to manage the interaction. She can't say these things out loud because it conflicts with the strong woman narrative. So she stays silent and you stay confused. Here are the 7 dirty secrets. Number 1, she wants you to decide everything, not just a restaurant, everything. What she eats, what she drinks, what time you meet. She wants you to take the mental burden of choice off her shoulders completely. This sounds anti-feminist. It sounds like she wants to be controlled. But here's the research, Dr. Roy Baumeister's studies on decision fatigue. The human brain has a finite amount of decision-making energy in a day. By the time she's on a date with you, she has made 10,000 micro-decisions at work, about her appearance, about her life. Her brain is fried. When you ask her, "What do you want to do?" you are giving her homework, not freedom. The dirty desire is to surrender control so completely that she can just feel instead of think. She wants you to order her wine, take her hand, and lead her to the bar without asking for directions. She won't say this because it sounds weak, but her nervous system will relax in a way that never happens when she's managing the date. Number 2, she wants you to break her shell. This is the most dangerous one to misunderstand, so listen carefully. In consensual, established attraction, many women fantasize about a man being strong enough to overwhelm their resistance. Not their consent, but their hesitation, their shyness, their good girl programming. Research from Bavona and Critelli, 2009, found that between 31 and 57% of women report having fantasies of submission, of being taken or overpowered in a consensual context. The key word is consensual. This is not about assault. This is about the psychological relief of surrendering responsibility for the act. She wants to feel like she couldn't stop you because your desire for her was too powerful, not because you ignored her. The dirty part is that she wants you to push past her no when it's a convince me no, not a stop no. She wants you to be stronger than her ambivalence. She will never say, "Please ignore my hesitation and throw me on the bed," because that sounds insane to her own ears. But if you stop at the first sign of resistance, she feels like you don't want her enough to overcome her defenses. She feels like you're not strong enough to handle her. Number 3, she wants you to objectify her. Not in public, not in a way that demeans her humanity. But in the bedroom, she wants to be looked at like a piece of meat that you are starving for. She wants the respectful filter to drop completely. Modern dating tells men to worship women, to see them as goddesses, to always prioritize their comfort. But arousal requires a certain amount of selfishness, quote, in the male gaze. She wants to feel like her body is making you lose your mind, not like you're carefully managing her emotions. The dirty secret is that being desired purely as a physical object by a man she trusts makes her feel powerfully feminine. She won't say, "Stop treating me like a person and look at my body like you're going to devour it," but that is exactly what she craves when the door closes. Number 4, she wants you to see her ugly. Not pretty ugly, really ugly. She wants you to see her crying so hard her face swells. She wants you to see her without makeup, sick, puking, in absolute chaos, and still want her sexually. This is the warts and all test. She has been sold the idea that she must be a high-value woman who is always polished, always managing, always graceful. The dirty desire is to be accepted in her absolute mess, to have you witness her unfiltered humanity and still be unable to keep your hands off her. She wants to know that your desire isn't conditional on her performance. She won't say, I want to break down in front of you and have that turn you on, because it sounds unstable. But if you can hold her while she's a disaster and still look at her with lust, you pass a test no other man has passed. Number 5. She wants to feel small, physically small. She wants you to pin her wrists, she wants you to pick her up, she wants you to use your size to make her feel fragile and protected at the same time. This is evolutionary psychology. When a larger, stronger male holds a female, it triggers ancient safety wiring. It says, I am vulnerable to him, and he is choosing to protect me instead of hurt me. The dirty part is that she wants to be physically dominated, held down, pushed against a wall, lifted off the ground while feeling emotionally safe. She won't say, make me feel tiny and helpless, because it contradicts every strong, independent woman mantra she believes she must uphold. But if you handle her gently with your strength, she melts. SIFSA number 6, she wants you to read her mind. This is the most frustrating one for men. She wants you to know what she wants without her saying it. Not because she's lazy, but because having to articulate every desire puts her in the masculine role of manager and director. Psychologist Daniel Stern wrote about vitality affects the nonverbal emotional attunement between people. She wants you to be so attuned to her breathing, her micro-expressions, her body temperature, that you just know when to speed up, when to slow down, when to hold her, when to let her go. The dirty secret is that she wants to be known without having to explain herself. She wants you to be telepathic so she can be purely receptive. She will never say, I want you to guess right every time, but she will lose attraction if you ask her to verbalize every instruction. So number 7, she wants you to possess her, not own her like property, but she wants to feel like she is your prize. She wants a hint of jealousy. She wants you to mate guard just a little. She wants you to look at other men who glance at her with a look that says, mine. Evolutionary psychologist David Buss studied mate retention strategies. When a man subtly shows possessiveness, putting his hand on her lower back when another man approaches, calling her my girl, giving her a look that claims her, it signals to her nervous system that she is valuable enough to be fought for. The dirty part is that she wants to feel like an object of value that you would lose if another man took her. She won't say, I want you to be jealous and possessive, because it sounds toxic and controlling. But if you act like you don't care who looks at her, she feels like you don't value what you have. So how do you use this without being a jerk? The answer is polarity with presence. You lead with decisiveness, but you watch her reactions like a hawk. You overwhelm her with desire, but you check in with her eyes. You possess her, but you cherish her. These 7 desires only work if she already trusts you. These are accelerants, not foundations. You cannot do number 2 without consent and trust, or you are a criminal. But if you have the trust, and you still treat her like a fragile princess who must be asked permission for every breath, you are boring her to death. You don't have to be a mind reader. You just have to be willing to lead, to desire without apology, and to see her messy humanity and still want it. Drop lead in the comments if you understand that dominance requires more responsibility, not less. Or drop surrender if you're ready to stop asking for directions on a date and start driving. Stop asking her what she wants. Start being what she needs.